Have you ever noticed that sometimes the process gets worse before it gets better? I'm in that season right now as we speak. I was visiting with my sister about it actually over lunch and thought it would be a great podcast episode. That sometimes the process gets worse, or it seems like it's getting worse, like your results are not happening before it gets better. It is summertime right now, and I am putting on shorts. And I'm not a shorts wearer. I don't love them anyway because I don't feel like they're very comfortable. Some people love shorts. But anyway, I went to put on some shorts and they just don't fit very well at all, especially around the legs. And I have recently started lifting more weights. I've changed my workout a little bit because something that I noticed that I was loving to do was feeling hard on my joints, and I knew that I needed to strength train. So I started lifting some heavier weights, and with that comes muscle building, right? Well, as my muscles are growing, the inches are also growing right now. And when I go to put on shorts, I can button them, but they're really, really tight around my legs. And I'm like, this is just not a good deal. And it was time to go buy some new shorts. And that can be pretty defeating, right? Um, Especially as a female, as we are, wanting to like lean up and do whatever, here's 38, loving my body, whatever, those things. When you have to go up in clothes sizes, gosh, that's defeating, right? That's like, dang it. And I know I'm not the only one. Um, I tend to grow muscle quite fast, which I'm very fortunate of that. Like that's been a blessing in my body, right? But I will say, like, that means that really quickly things shift in my body in a way that I don't always love. And then eventually, if I trust the process of this, of lifting weights, because I know that it's great for me, I know that it's not about the clothes fitting well. It's about being able to climb these mountains that I want to climb. I want to be able to go up the mountains and come back down and not have like aching ankles and aching knees. That has to do with muscle strength. And I want to save my joints, right? Because I want to be doing this at 60, 70, 80 years old. This is the long haul. This is not a short term type of thing that I'm just only going to like for a while. I know that I'm going to want to be active my whole life. So I am choosing to trust the process of longevity and strength train. Okay. And how often do we stop in a process because we aren't, getting the results that we wish, right? This isn't always about like it's been on my heart to start lifting weights again. Not that I want to lift a lot, but I do want to start lifting again. And I did, but I am not, you guys, I am so not the person that like loves being sore. There are people who brag about being sore, like wincing as they're getting out of the chair and like, oh, leg day, gosh, I was, barely able to get off the toilet today because I lifted legs yesterday and it was a tough one. And I'm like, ugh, like, no, I don't like that. I don't like feeling inflamed. I don't like feeling tight. I like feeling free in my body. Yet I know that as we stress our body a bit, it has to create a bit of resistance in order to start changing, right? And I'm just not that person. Or a lot of people will say, "Oh, I couldn't wash my hair because of arm day yesterday. I hopped in the shower after my workout and my arms were shaking to get my hair washed." Ew, no, like I don't like that. I don't like it. I like feeling so free in my body and my body in ease and stuff. And I know that I will get there even with lifting weights. Like this is a short-term deal. This isn't long-term. And need to like get past that mentally, get past that in order to create the changes that I'm wanting to change. So this podcast. I'm Dr. Josi Jensen. I am a big believer in brain and nervous system health. And, as I've went through a lot of different health, um, let's say techniques, I guess. Weightlifting is one of them that I have a love-hate relationship with. And I know it's so critical as I'm getting older, especially. to keep that muscle mass on, to help with my metabolism, to help with brain health. Like quad strength has to do with brain health. There's just so many things. Being able to dance still, being able to be free in my, again, free in my body, to be confident in my body and what it can do. Those things are all really, really important emotionally, physically, and mentally, right? So, yes, as I have worked through a lot of these different things, believe me, I am with you. I am with you when it comes to trusting the process. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about that as I pull up my notes here because I don't want to miss anything. Um, as we are moving into trying to make change, whatever kind of change it is, it doesn't matter necessarily what it is. If we are trying to work through some changes, we want to make sure. Gotta put my phone on do not disturb. We want to make sure that we are staying in the moment and discerning what is right for us. Okay. So there's three reasons why trusting the process is so important. First off, it reduces the anxiety. So a lot of times um, well, in my chiropractic office and as a brain health coach, I have intake forms, right? You guys, so many people are putting anxiety down. And I am probably one too, that if I were not diagnosed anxiety, but like anxiety, like thinking into the future. And we get so attached to the results of why we're doing the work, of this is going to create blank, whether it's in your business, I'm going to do these things that this person told me and it's going to give me X results. Going to make $1 million. I'm going to have thousands of followers or millions of followers, or whatever it is. I'm going to have, a product that goes out and make millions of dollars in 2 days. Like that was something we talked about today too. Like we are so attached, and honestly, marketing wise, when you're looking at what people are selling, or, s- providing service to you, they want to, like, we have to say, like, this is going to help reduce pain. This is going to help get rid of your headaches. This is going to help with your balance, whatever. These things, like, these are possibilities, but in the process of it, you might realize that the things that you're learning, the way that your body's changing, these different things that we're saying may not actually be what you get out of it. W- The the big piece here is trusting like if you feel like you need to be doing something and you trust that process, you may learn in it how to stand up for yourself. You may learn how to put up boundaries. You may learn how to mentally push play on that workout again and again and again. Like you may learn resilience. You may learn consistency. The things that we learn in the processes and what we say yes to and what we say no to, and doing these things daily may not create the results that we're actually thinking that we're going to be getting. But we get so attached to these expectations of what somebody's going to do for us, how this relationship's going to go. It's going to succeed and all these things. But then sometimes we let them go, right? So relationship, for example, you can go on dates, you can um, think in your, marriage, like if I cook supper every night or whatever, these different things that we are expecting to have a result that we put in our minds of what this process is going to give us. Sometimes we get the results that we were looking for. Sometimes we don't, but we learn along the way. And in my years, there's been so many times that I will work through the process of what to do and the things to do. And I don't always get what I signed up for, but I do get something else. I remember when I was just opening up my chiropractic practice years ago, I joined a networking group. And if you've ever been part of a networking group, you know that you talk about your business, you talk about what you're up to, and they refer to you, right? Like that's part of it. I was in that networking group for a year, at least a year before I started getting anybody to come into my practice from the networking group or who they referred or whatnot. But I stayed in that for a year and it completely exploded after that. But it took me that long to get the referrals. But at the same time, throughout that whole process there, I was learning about insurance. I was learning about just connecting with people and how to talk about my business. I was learning so many things along the way that if I were to quit because I wasn't getting referrals, like that was what I joined for, and I wasn't getting that. If I would have quit, I wouldn't have had, the results at the end. And they ended up being the expectations that I had, right? But I didn't, I stayed in it for completely different reasons. I grew like great friendships out of the deal. It was a beautiful networking group, I'll call it. Um, you have to stay in it sometimes. You just have to stay in it and not get attached. So many people have this anxiety. And remember, anxiety is because you're worrying about the future. Depression is typically worrying about the past. Anxiety is worrying about the future. And we can get out of that. We can train our brain to not jump to the future. You can throw it out there like, hey, world, like this is what I'm wanting. This is what this is my goal. Whatever is happening, show me what I need to do. Don't be surprised if what you need to do and what you're asking for, what God gives you, does not look right. It may not be the way that you thought it was going to be. The process is doing the work, knowing when and when to say yes and when not to say yes, knowing what's right for you, and staying in it through the middle. The middle is not meant to be like, we aren't like sexy and just climbing a straight line here. We are zigzagging. The health journey, especially, we talk about a zigzag. It is not just a straight line. Anyone who tells you that is crazy. It is definitely a zigzag, up and down, because the body is just so freaking intelligent. It's so intelligent. And as you're like working with the body and not against the body, it starts to release things, and that doesn't always feel good. It starts to grow, and it's hard to get up off the toilet, right? Like when you're lifting weights or something, like things are not just like cozy and comfortable when you're doing some of this stuff. So staying in it, staying present, and not being attached to the expectations that you put on. I can't remember what book it was that talked about. I think it, again, I bring up this book so often, but I think it's The Untethered Soul. And they talk about your perspective. And the reason that you ever get upset with anything is because of the perspective that you have on it. When you get upset with somebody else, when you get upset with your boss, when you get upset with how your body's functioning, those things, it's like it's because you put an expectation on there. So then you gave it a chance. You gave that um idea in your mind a chance to piss you off, for you to be frustrated, for you to be disappointed, for you to be overwhelmed, being able to really settle in and just live your life and not be attached to those expectations is going to help your anxiety a ton. So I would definitely recommend that. I recently put a post out on Facebook about uncertainty, and, you know, gosh, our brain loves certainty. Our brain loves certainty. And when we feel uncertain about something, we have to trust it. Otherwise, we develop these symptoms like anxiety that we don't like, right? That don't feel good. And if you can just, yeah, trust it, and trust the uncertainty, and just stay in it, you'll be surprised at what you learn through it. Especially when you guys, we know some of the great things for ourselves. We know that we need to eat healthy foods. We know that we need to let our brain calm down. We know that we need to love harder. We need to be connected with people. Like, these things are things that we know that is, as a human being, it is what we require. So as we're doing those things, we have to take the expectation out of it because we know that it's good. Like deep down, you know that that's something that we are meant to do and will create health in the long run, even if it doesn't feel good in the moment. Okay. So we're going to move on to point number 2. The process usually looks different than we expected. Yes, we talked about that. I was in Thailand doing yoga for a whole month. And when people think about yoga, at least when I think about yoga, I mean, I knew that it was hard. Like you can, get very strong in yoga, very strong in yoga. Um, but I didn't expect to feel as sore as I did because you're stretching a lot, right? You're moving slowly, you're stretching. My body did not feel good week 2. Holy smokes. After week 1, it was like, oh, I'm weak, and I can't go into down dog very well. My heels do not touch the floor. I do not look good in this pose, like you're working on these things. And pretty soon, within week 2, I was sore. I remember my low back being pretty sore as it was, I was forcing it to open up and be different. And then pretty soon my heels started touching the floor in down dog. And if you've never done down dog, then you might not know what I'm talking about, but you're in like this V shape and with your arms on the ground and your feet on the ground and your bum is up in the air and your heels eventually, like you're putting energy and pushing through your heels to touch the ground. And mine didn't want to at all. They actually came around and helped me a lot in that position because it was very hard for me. And over time, my heels started touching the ground. So my body was changing a lot. And I had this expectation that I wouldn't feel sore, and I did. But with time, that eventually started to go away. And if I didn't, you know, um, if I didn't trust that process, I would have had probably quit, right? Or didn't, not continue on. That was 4 weeks and I paid for it and I was there and it's what I did, right? And if I was at home, it may have looked a lot different where I was like, I don't really need to do this, this isn't changing much or whatever. Well, after 4 weeks, your body does change, or my body did change. And the things that I learned were not all about um, becoming more flexible. I learned how to breathe through tension. I learned how to have the ability to get out of my mind and into my body for a long period of time. We're talking an hour and a half for our classes. Like being able to just settle in, do the work, be excited to have my matcha tea and my food afterwards of a delicious meal. We just did the work and that's all we were there to do. So, I was able to see the process unfold in a short period of time with full immersion like that. So the what we're getting out of the process isn't always what we expected, right? Okay, point number 3, you never know what you're being prepared for. As I was lifting just a little bit ago, um, there was a shift and it's something that I hadn't felt in a long time, and I was very excited to feel it. Where you go into another gear. Have you ever felt that in something where you're working really hard, but you're like just doing it, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm gonna freaking do this. And you just jump into another gear and you get it done in a way. It was so powerful. And it's not just working out that you get that, right? You can this can be a shift in your business. This can be a shift in your marriage. This can be a shift with like working with your kids on something where it's like, holy smokes, like there was a breakthrough there. And you go into another, like, it's almost like you go into another dimension, almost like you're like, holy, like, we're just going to do this, right? Um, I love working out for that reason because there is oftentimes you feel that shift and you're like, oh, I want to feel this in other aspects of my life as well. So you may think that, like, me lifting weights, right? I'm lifting weights because I want to hike easier. I want to enjoy my hikes in a different way, right? I don't want to feel super exhausted. Not saying I won't, but I want to feel the strength and feel like be able to say yes to any hike that comes up that somebody wants to go on with me. That's a big thing right now is for me. I'm starting to work at home a lot. I'm connecting virtually. I don't end up like hanging out with very many people right now. So when somebody says that they want to do a challenge or a hike or whatever, I want to be able to say yes. And that's freedom. That's freedom in my body. So I know that as I'm doing these things, it's preparing me for the future. I don't know what my future has in store. God does. I'm just in my day to day doing my thing and trusting that whatever plan he's got, like I'm going to be prepared for it mentally, physically, and emotionally, right? So maybe it's that you're building resilience. Maybe it's that you are healing your anxiety through the process that you're going through, whatever you've said yes to. Maybe you're just learning self-trust. Self-trust, you guys. Self-trust is insane. When we are anxious, we are not trusting ourselves. We are second guessing the decisions we're making. We are using outside sources to like try to mend the things that are really within us that we're having trouble with. We're having trouble, dating is a big thing, or even in your marriage, like, are you trusting yourself to be true to who you are instead of being codependent on your partner, right? Being able to, work together, but trusting that you are still a big piece to this puzzle, right? Um, Body image, confidence, all of that is trusting yourself. So being able to um, learn how to trust yourself is huge, and that is built, you guys. That's built through going, like, being present and just being connected to your soul and what's next and the fun stuff. You guys, this is supposed to be life is fun. Life can be very fun and there can be tons of struggles. And I read something or I saw something the other day that it was like you had a jar and everybody put their struggles in a jar and you had to pick what your struggle was going to be from this jar. Would you choose your struggles or over what you would potentially pick out of that jar? I think I would choose my struggles right now, right? Like, I don't think I'd want anyone else's struggles. I'll deal with my own. Um, Being able to trust yourself to go through the hard times. And there are tons of people having really hard times, right? And including myself. Some people would not want the struggles I've had. And some people that I know, I would not want the struggles they had, like we're all in our life journey, doing our thing, and being able to be present through them is what's going to create the growth and the change and what's just meant for us. What is meant for me is not meant for you. But there are some really like critical things that all of us are as human beings here on this earth, that we are meant to um experience, or like that just they're kind of like uh the recipe for life in a way. Not that it's all, we're meant to move. We're meant to drink water. We're meant to eat food. We're meant to have a shelter over our heads and be protected through the storms, right? Where there are some like necessities. We are meant to connect with other human beings. We're meant to love. These things are all just part of life, right? But your experience and my experience are going to be very different, even though it takes the same things for us to be, enjoy or be on this earth, I guess, for us to survive, right? It takes a lot of the same things. Um, but my experience in it is going to be completely different than yours. And that is the wonder. And that's honestly what this Brilliant Wonders podcast is all about, is just being able to be so in awe of your life, yours. Like, you have such a special life here on this earth. How amazing. And no one else is going to know it. Only you do. I mean, you can try to share it. People write books, autobiographies, all the things that they've learned for us to try to like process this life that we have, right? But no one is going to get it like you do. And respect that, respect it and be proud of it and grateful for it, because man, what a ride, right? Okay. So I wanted to talk about discernment just a little bit as I tap into this, because I talked about it in the beginning of being able to understand what is meant for you, and being able to know the things that are next for you, or that, like, maybe you're doing a career change, or maybe you're, you know, going into college, maybe you're going going on a big trip. Maybe you are deciding who you want to spend the rest of your life with. Gosh, I did that once. I decided that I was going to, or I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with somebody, and I ended up not, right? Um, Being able to discern and understand, like, right in the moment, that your next step is this step. Your next yes is this yes. Your next boundary is this boundary. Your, your next conversation is this conversation. Being able to do these things, um, do, think, feel these things, these are all discerning, self-trust and discernment right now. So when we are thinking of, for me, for example, how we started this is I started lifting weights, right? I know that that's my next thing. That's just what I need to spend some time and some focus on building strength. But if I tried to do that when it wasn't my time to do it, that would have not it wasn't my time to, like, I just knew it, like, discerning, knowing what is right for you and what's not. You guys, our phones and social media and all the things, which I am on, I'm not saying that I'm not on it. You guys see most of my stuff. You probably are watching this because you saw it on social media. Um, we are inundated with what to do next, who to connect with, all the things, and being able to decide and discern what is right for you. Versus, it might sound pretty, it might sound nice, it might be like this look like this is what I want right now. And then 2 days later, it's a different thing, and then it's a different strategy, and then it's a different technique, and it's different, whatever. Being able to know that this is your moment to do these things is very important. Very, very important for the success and for that trust in yourself to develop it. And if you weren't super attached emotionally to whatever you're doing and what's next for you, how often do we quit? Pretty often. Or we're frustrated or annoyed or whatever. We're not getting the results we want. We aren't whatever. So it keeps going in a really crummy way. And then if you let that be your pattern, or you let that continuously happen for you, you just become you're on autopilot, and you just start and stop and start and stop and start and stop. This is the, I'll start on Monday person. This is the quarter where, I drop everything because I know that my work might change, or kids start sports or whatever. Like, this is not the season for this or whatever. Is it really not the season, or are you choosing that? Are you choosing that it's not the time to continue on with the goals and what you've got going on? You're letting the external world discern for you for what is meant for you. You're not using your own authenticity, your own trust, your own soul to make the decisions. It's the outside world. We can't let the outside world do that. And that's practice. That's practice. There might be truth in some things, like, wow, this is going to be really tough to um, to continue on through this season. Maybe you adapt it a bit, whatever it is, but don't stop. Don't stop, because that will never change. That will never change. The outside world will always control you, and it's the opposite. That's what being present is. That's what priorities are. That's where we lean into God and we lean into, ourselves and say, this is not, this is, I want to be this. I need to be this through this season this year. I'm not going to be this through the season, or I'm not going to be falling behind through this season this time. Like we're going to make the change and make some shifts. And I keep talking about yourself a lot. Um, it's not, I often, during those seasons where things are really hard, I lean on other people a lot, but they need to be my accountability partners through these things are people who have done the work before too, or know what you're trying to do. They aren't people, and bless their hearts, they're not people who will make excuses for you to not make it and not to change during those times. They are people who will hold you accountable to the things that you know are good and you know you need to do. So then you're like, these are the things I must do. Hold me accountable. Make sure that I'm doing this, doing these things through this season. It's easy to do it when it's easy. It's hard to do it when it's hard. And those people will know that, and they've been through it, and they've worked through those seasons before and still held true to themselves and their goals and their mission and purpose, their purpose. So that's whatever your purpose is this in this season. Stay true to it, because the seasons will change. Does not mean that your purpose does. So stay true to it. Okay, I want to end with that. That was a good spot to end. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please like and share and do all the things. I want to get this out there to people. It's just relatable life, it's what's going on in average Joe Blow. And I get to use clients as pieces of relatability. I get to use myself a lot. So I just hope it's a good conversation for you to have with yourself, and it's like we're having coffee together. So I really enjoy the Brilliant Wonders podcast. I hope you do too. Let me know what you think of this one, and we'll see you next time.